Hello. I'm logging on a little bit early here. It's almost 6 o'clock. I just want to make sure that I have. All right. And I have my guest on here. So I'm going to go ahead and let you in, Shannon. And are you there? Let's see. Oh, hello.
There you are.
There he is.
Happy Wednesday.
Yes, happy Wednesday. Thanks for being here with me. Right on
Yeah,
time. Thank you.
perfect. Thank you for inviting me. I see
Yeah,
we have Sylvia's here too. Hi, Sylvia.
we have Sylvia and we have, is it Eva? Hello, hello. I'm just going to wave here. Um, yeah, so I am super excited about this today, Shannon.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here too. I love talking about this stuff. I love
Yeah,
helping people see what's really going on.
yeah, definitely. I feel like, can you see me okay? I feel like
I
I'm
see you
kind
up to here. Yeah.
So I feel like that's how it's going to be because I'm in an awkward location. So if I
Okay. That's okay.
back
We can hear you.
a
We
little
can
bit,
see you.
you can hear
Yeah.
me, you can see me.
Yep.
Okay, good, because they're going to be doing, see, that's what I mean.
Okay.
The beauty of lives.
Yes. Yes.
So we're going
Whatever
to be
shows
doing,
up, right?
yeah, so you're going to be doing most of the talking anyway.
Okay.
So as long as we can see and hear you, and I think we're going to be okay.
Okay.
So,
Good.
yeah. So today we're talking about, I am going to jump right in. This starts at 6. Whoever's here, thank you for being here. We are going to be posting this replay after we're done talking about this, changing our mindset around money, right? I love this topic. I loved talking to you about it even before we got on here. So it'll definitely be a replay. So I'm just going to quickly introduce myself and then I will let you introduce yourself. How does that sound?
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Marty Ortiz and I'm the owner of Vision Track. And what I do is I am a confidence coach and I primarily work with young adults, young adult women. And I do that through one-on-one coaching and also through group courses and group coaching. And the bulk or like the majority of my clients are right now between the ages of 18 and 25, even though I'm always directing my attention towards 20 somethings and adults. Right now it's 18 to 25 all the way up to 29. uh, so uh, I post a lot about confidence. That is my goal in life is to um, really coach and to really guide and motivate some of these young women who may not be as confident as they would like. And so that group coaching that I take them through is meant to do that, and it's centered around their self-esteem, their increasing their self-love, all of the principles and the skills that are really going to help them get to a confident life. Yeah, so that's what I do. And so we have Shannon Murphy here, who is a transformational coach, and I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. And I also generally work with women. I work with sensitive women who are trying to really remember and powerfully align with their soul's purpose. And I do that in a lot of different ways. And one of the tools that we deal with often is money. How things show up in our money, because your money is all about your self-worth. It's all about your visibility. And as women, oftentimes from a very young age, we're taught to be small, we're taught to be quiet, and that follows us through our lives, that follows you. You know, it shows up in your bank account, it shows up in your relationships, it shows up in your health. So my goal is to help women, sensitive women again, heal the relationship with money, heal the relationship with self-worth and visibility, and show up powerfully in the world and align with their soul's purpose, live out their soul's purpose. We all have a special, unique purpose that we are here to do on this earth. It's something that only you can do. And I love working with women around money, because when we're able to really identify these blocks that are often really, really deeply rooted to the point that most people aren't even aware of them, once we start to clear and become aware and shift those things, people see big shifts in their lives. The more money you have, the more good you can do out in the world, right? The more people you can reach, the more people you can help. And so I really have a lot of fun working with women on all of these topics. I do past life regressions, but this money topic is a fun one for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it really sounds like it is. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted Shannon to join me, is because I get a lot of limiting beliefs and a lot of negativity around the money mindset that these 20-somethings have, right? These young adults. And I put out a really short survey to some older adults, friends, family, and I said, hey, what is a piece of advice that you would give someone in their 20s? And I mean, I've seen surveys done sporadically, and research has been done, and I know that this is a topic and something that the advice would be, I wish I would have started saving sooner, right? Investing sooner. So that's why I wanted to do this with you, because I want to, I want people to have this knowledge and be able to recognize these blocks that sometimes we're not even aware of, that we walk around with. I think it's very interesting, and I think it's very valuable and a powerful tool to show us, right?
Yes.
To help us with that.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we're going to do we'll do in a little bit, we're going to do a visualization that I'm going to help you guys really clearly identify some stuff that's going on that you're probably unaware of. And we're going to talk specifically about savings today. So there are 5 different kinds of money that I teach people about. There's savings, there's income, debt, income goals. How much money would you like to be making? And something called toxic money. So we're going to just kind of look at one little piece of that puzzle today. And the interesting thing about what I do that's different when we talk about money mindset, a lot of people have done law of attraction. A lot of people have done manifestation work. And that's wonderful and it's powerful, but it ignores one facet. So a lot of people walk around and say, think positive, right? And manifest, and they put up pretty pictures around their house, or maybe you have a vision board even on your phone. It's gotten pretty easy to do that.
Yeah, I have one.
Guilty. And it's wonderful and it's great. However, the piece that's missing, a lot of people saw The Secret and they think, oh, if I just think positive, I'll have $1 million. But there's one piece missing, and that is an underlying current of scarcity that many of us, and I would say most of us, grew up with. And so that is something that I really help people focus on. And that can be really hard actually for people that do law of attraction work or manifestation work, because they feel like, oh, I don't want to put something negative out in the universe. But I'll tell you, I've been doing this work for a while, and it's a really important piece of the puzzle, because we just need to give a voice to these, and I'm going to call them uncomfortable feelings, because nothing's good and nothing's bad. We just as humans decide, oh, this is a good feeling. It's good to be happy. It's bad to be sad. But they're all a valid part of the human experience.
Right.
So that's part of the work that I do. So we'll do a visualization, and then we'll do an exercise to start. The visualization will help you identify some blocks, and then we'll do an exercise to start to help you clear some of those blocks. And then if anybody's interested in looking, more at some of these additional pieces of money, I think that you and I are going to do some more of these lives in the future, and I'll also share a way that people can do some more work on this if they're interested.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I would love that. I would love that. Oh, yeah. So let's start,
Okay.
first of all, if you're
Okay.
ready,
I'm ready.
with some of the examples that I hear all the time. So I'll give you these examples of what I hear that I feel are some of the blocks that uh, that we carry around. And I say we because I'm guilty of that too. I feel like, up until recently, maybe in the last maybe 5 years, um, and it was because of what you said, the law of attraction, right? If I think it, um, and uh, I mean, there's a lot more behind that, obviously. But some of the examples that I hear is, or are, the first one would be people like us have to work hard for our money, or people like us weren't meant to have money or to have this abundance of wealth. So that's a big one. I think that's a huge one. And then the second one, again, I'm guilty of this. I think I grew up that as my vocabulary. We can't afford that because I came from a very low income family. My parents were working all the time, and it was always something that I heard from them. We can't afford that.
Mhm.
Oh, you want to, I mean, if I say Nintendo, I'm gonna get like I'm gonna age myself here.
Well, just don't say Atari, okay?
Okay, I won't say that. But, like if we wanted something modern, something cool, no, we can't afford that. So I feel like that's still very present in our lives. And the third one is the only way you'll be happy is if you are rich like them. So before we get into, each one of those, I would just like to ask you real quick about the them part of this third example.
Yeah.
Rich like them. Like, who is them?
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that's a really great point. And, I want everybody to stop for a moment and just think for a moment, what were the thoughts and beliefs around money in your family? Did your family act from a place of scarcity? Did they act from a place of abundance? And for most people, and this was from my family, it was scarcity. We also heard a lot, like, we can't afford that, them. So the them, and that's an interesting point. The rich, right? So it's always somebody else. Like, people like us do this. People like us behave this way. We work a lot. People like us only earn this much. And in order to do that, yes, you have to work hard. You have to never see your family. You have to sacrifice. You have to give up, right? And sacrifice. And then the people like them, the rich, what do we hear all the time in our society? The greedy rich, the corrupt rich, the us versus them. So think about that for a moment from an energetic perspective, because money is energy. So if you have a deep core belief that rich people are greedy, they're corrupt, they're destroying the planet, they don't care about anybody but themselves, they don't pay taxes, they're terrible human beings, what do you think the chances are that you will actually become a wealthy human being? Probably pretty small, right? And assuming that you're able to get to a point where you're able to earn a good amount of money, where you're able to save a good amount of money, what's going to actually happen is you're going to sabotage. Because if you become this rich person, what does that make you? It makes you greedy. It makes you an awful human.
Right.
And so on a very deep subconscious level, you're going to get rid of that. People literally, I see this all the time with my clients. They literally manifest these crazy situations where it's like, they manifest like a huge out of the blue tax bill, for example. That's exactly the amount of money of something that they were going to invest in. All of a sudden, your car blows up and you have to buy a brand new car. And again, that's a large investment. So maybe you had gotten your savings up and all of a sudden it's right back to where it began.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yes. So these thoughts and these beliefs and so there are two different things I'm going to talk about today: thoughts and emotions. So keep in mind that thought is a habitual self-talk. So when you think about your savings, what people most often say is, it's not enough. Okay, that's a thought. But there's a feeling that's associated with it that may be something like anxiety or fear, or sometimes people feel angry, sometimes people feel sad. And so those are the things we're going to look at, sort of separating them a little bit, thoughts and feelings. And again, we're going to deal specifically with savings today. But one thing I want to point out is that this stuff you mentioned comes from childhood. So between the ages of 0 until about 7, we are so wide open, we're so receptive that we essentially walk around in hypnotic trance. And so anything that anybody tells you at that age, you just take on as true. So think about that. Who do young children spend time with the most?
Their parents.
Their parents, right? And maybe school, or maybe there's another caregiver, but generally we get those ideas, those thoughts, those feelings, the beliefs around money from our parents. And what happens is, and this is really interesting when I learned this, these thoughts and beliefs actually get mapped out in your nervous system. So what happens is you have an underlying feeling of anxiety, for example. And so anytime you think about your savings account, that feeling of anxiety starts to run through your body. You start to go into a fight or flight response, whether you're aware of it or not. And so a lot of times people will not even look. I don't want to know. You know, there are people that won't open their bills. I had a client that we were doing this exercise where we were mapping out all of the kinds of money. So it was very in-depth. And she got very anxious. And at one point she said, oh my gosh, I want to stop. I want to stop. Because she was a person that never looked at her money because it was too overwhelming to her. And, you know, by the time we got through the whole process of just identifying what was exactly happening in her money, exactly like how much she had in each of these categories, she already could see things from a different perspective. You know, and then we worked on clearing the blocks. Once we identify them, we work on clearing them. So does that make sense? Do you have any questions about that? Anything I've said so far?
No, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to do a little visualization right now. And so everybody grab a pen and a paper. We're just going to jot some stuff down. And Marty, you do this too, but don't worry, I'm not going to make anybody tell me anything. You don't have to say your number, okay? And so the first thing I want you to do is just take a deep breath. And, you know, if it feels good, put your hand on your heart and close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And just set the intention to be open, to be curious, and see what shows up, because really it's often surprising, okay? So first I'm just going to ask a question. How many of you, and you can, if you're on here live with us, you can just drop any old emoji in the comment section, but how many people would love to make more money? How many of you would love to save more money, to invest, to live life in a way that you would really love to live it, rather than living it in a way with somebody else's imposed systems, beliefs? You know, who would love to have that in their lives? Yeah.
Me, for sure.
Pretty much everybody, right?
Yeah, everyone.
Yes.
I'm going to say everyone.
Yes.
Right? Because
Yes.
I'm a little shy, but yes.
Yes.
I'm going to say everyone.
So I'm going to say everyone too, everybody. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. We all want more. We are actually wired to want more, to be more, to show up in the world in a bigger way. Yes. Who is that? Lisa? Yes. Thank you, Lisa. I agree.
Oh, yeah. That's Alyssa.
Yeah. So what I want you guys to do now, and again, what was that? Yeah, that's me. Yeah, well, I'm raising my hand. Sylvia also, yes, yes. I'm raising both of my hands, okay? So what I want you to do now, and again, this is just personal, this is just for your information, but it's really good to write this stuff down. I want you to take a moment, and if you want to close your eyes and think for a moment, I want you to think about how much money you have in your savings account, and I want you to write that number down on a piece of paper. Okay, and immediately I want you to notice what thoughts are coming up, what you're starting to feel in your body as you're looking at that number. Okay, and I don't know if you want to share anything, Marty, but like I said, most people look at that number and they say it's not enough.
Yeah, that's definitely what I thought. I was like, oh God,
yes.
I need more.
Yes.
Really,
okay.
Writing it down made me absolutely
yes. Okay, so what I want you then to do is write down if there's any thoughts. I need more, it's not enough, anything like that. I also want you to write that down because this is the habitual self-talk that we're not often aware of.
Right.
And I want you to tune into any feelings or emotions that are coming up. Things like anxiety or sadness or disappointment or anger or fear, whatever that is, and just write those down. And you're welcome to share in the comments if you want. But again, there's no obligation to share anything because this can be a very personal exercise.
Right. So I'll share
Okay.
what I wrote down really quick. So I put, because right after you said it, I think it would be disappointed because I should have more, right? That's
Yes.
something that came
And
up right away.
that's very common. And things that show up particularly in the savings are feelings of sadness, feelings of disappointment, feelings of fear, anxiety. Savings are specifically related to feelings of safety, fear, yes. And a lot of people, when they look at their savings account, they think, I don't feel safe. If there's an emergency, which a lot of us saw initially when we went into lockdown a couple years ago, I was really feeling that I had money in my savings account and I was still freaking out. I thought, oh my God, how long is this going to go on? What if it runs out? I have nothing to fall back on. And so that's very deeply rooted. And yes, that's you, Lisa. You can relate to that. Yeah, this is really, really common. I see it all the time. And it's so important to identify because we don't talk about money. And that's another thing I want to mention. When I say, what were the things your family said when you were growing up? Some families didn't talk about money. There was a complete vacuum. And so, we never talk about, it's rude to ask somebody how much money they make. We don't talk about how much things cost because, I just spent $2,000 on a washer and dryer. My washer broke and I'm like, I'm going to get the set and I just dropped $2,100, But generally we don't come out and say, I spent this much money on the car or I bought this big purchase because we're afraid that people will see us as bragging or thinking that we're better than others. So, it's good to be able to speak about these things. So what I also want you to do now then is looking at the statements that you wrote down and those feelings, disappointment, I want you to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. How strong are they? 1 being the least, 10 being the most. And this will be important a little bit later. Okay. So just how strong, and sometimes it helps to close your eyes. How strong are those feelings? You might notice it in a certain area of your body. You can just jot down any notes.
Do you want me to tell you my number or?
You can.
Okay, so I'm at a 6 on that one. On
okay.
Disappointed. On the disappointment.
Okay. Okay. And if there are any other feelings and emotions, do it for each of those. Okay. So you're going to rate each feeling. And then now what I want you to do, this is getting to be the fun part, I want you to write down an amount of money you would absolutely love to have in your savings account, okay? A 6. Okay, Lisa, and a 5 from Lisa there. Okay, and so what I want you to do before you write this number down, I want you to think how much money you would absolutely love to have, and I don't want you to think, but I don't know how I would make that, or I don't know how I would save that. I just want you to think, what amount of money could I look at and think that feels really good. And I don't want you to write, $2 million because that generally is just it feels unreal, So write down something that feels like this would feel good to me.
Yeah, like a realistic number, right?
Yes, okay. Yes.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, just looking. Okay, so we got a couple 5s there, there's a 6. Okay. And now we're going to do a little visualization, keeping in mind some of this stuff, and I'm going to guide you through it, okay? So just get yourself into a comfortable position and sit back on the chair, whatever you're resting on. You can close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And I want you to imagine yourself standing on a stage, okay? And there's a spotlight on you. And there's an audience of people. And you're looking out at this audience. Yeah, 1 million these days is not a lot and would make you feel better. Great, yeah, so that's a good number then if you feel like that's doable. Okay, so just imagine yourself on a stage, and you might imagine yourself in your body. You might watch this like a movie. It's okay either way. and you look out over the audience and you see a bunch of people out there, your family, your parents are there, even if they've passed on, your siblings, maybe your extended family, grandparents. $1 million, $1 million are good for you guys. And you've got your friends in the audience, maybe some people you knew in high school, maybe a high school teacher, maybe there are some colleagues, and there's some people that you don't know, and everybody's looking up at you expectantly on stage, waiting for whatever you're going to say. And I want you to imagine yourself holding a sign in your hand. And on this sign, you've written the amount that you would love to have in savings. But before you hold it up, it's actually double what you wrote on this paper. And you hold it up in the air to the audience and you say, this is how much money I have in my savings account. And I deserve this and so much more. And I want you to notice what's happening to that person on stage. What is he or she feeling? What are you feeling in your body right now as you watch this? What emotions are coming up? What thoughts? And if you had two main emotions that you could identify just in your mind, what are the two main emotions? And if you're not sure, you can just guess, because sometimes it's very difficult actually for people to name their emotions. So just tuning in to what's happening in your body, to what's happening to that person on stage. And most people feel some sort of anxiety, tension. Some people feel embarrassed. Some people feel ashamed. Some people get downright scared and want to run out of the room. So just notice whatever it is. And notice where in your body you're feeling those feelings. And as you tune in to those uncomfortable feelings of fear, anxiety, embarrassment, at saying, this is how much money I have in savings, and it's a lot, and I deserve this money, and I deserve to have even more. Whatever this anxiety is, whatever these uncomfortable feelings, it means that you just broke a rule. It means that you just broke a rule in your family. So what rule did you break by having this much money?
So Shannon, real quick,
Mm-hmm.
the question that they didn't quite understand the question. So can you repeat that just a little bit so you can make it a little clearer?
Okay, which, I don't know which question. Let's see.
I think it's just the feeling, right? Maybe Lisa, like what's the feeling that you get when you show that to your family when you're on stage? This is the amount of money I have. Like, what are you feeling once you show that? I think
right, like oftentimes people get embarrassed or scared or things like that, some sort of anxious feeling generally. So as you hold up this sign and say, this is how much money I have in my savings.
Okay.
Got it? Okay. Yeah. As you hold this up, what do you feel? And what's the rule that you broke? What is it, in the family what's the family rule? And then as you look out over the audience, I want you to tune in, like you can zoom into people's faces. What are they doing? What do they look like? Maybe embarrassment, yes. And a lot of times when people look at the audience, are people cheering for you? Do they look mad? Do they look upset? Are people getting up and walking out? I wonder what they're feeling by me saying this out loud. Yes, yes, that's very common. We start to get insecure, uncomfortable. Maybe people in the audience look shocked. That's common. Maybe they look mad. Maybe they look like they're thinking, who do you think you are? Oh, you think you're so much better than me?
Yeah,
Sometimes people...
I would definitely be looking for a reaction, for like something like facial expression, something like, yeah, like maybe they're not gonna, like it wouldn't be a good expression, right? Like, whoa.
Right. right? And when you did this, what is the automatic thing that you said to yourself? So like somebody here said, I'm wondering what they're thinking or what they're feeling when I say this out loud, right? You automatically go to that. What are other people thinking about what I said, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can just take a deep breath and open your eyes. And does anybody want to share maybe what the audience was doing or what you were feeling? I'm just trying to scroll through this to see what people are writing. Somebody wrote embarrassment. Um, so those of you that said you had written down $1 million, you held up the sign for $2 million. And what do the people in the audience think?
Does anybody want to share that? Mine didn't have quite that much, I'll be honest. But I still felt that I was being looked at like, what, how, or why? How did she manage that? That's what I'm feeling is the reaction that I'm getting by people's expressions.
And what kind of, so somebody said they were feeling embarrassment. What came through for you, Marty? I think they're thinking out of my mind. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about feelings?
Feelings probably like I don't want to look at them in their eyes. Like I don't want to look straight at them, maybe look away, even though I'm anxious and want to know what they're thinking, but maybe just not look straight at them to kind of avoid that judgment that I feel might be there.
Yeah. Maybe they're thinking how they got there. Yeah, I might. Yeah. Yeah, so those are really common things. The most common, like I said, is that people feel embarrassed. People get really scared. I have a lot of people that I do this exercise with that say they want to run off the stage. They want to run out of the room. And they feel like they're being judged. I would hope the family we're in are happy for us. So I would hope that too, but I will tell you for a fact that in my case, that's not the case. So I hope that your family, when you saw them right now, was cheering for you, but in a lot of families, that's actually not true. And I'll tell you why. Our family is our tribe, and you see this in a lot of families. It's like a group think. We all think the same. We all like the same things. This is what we do, right? This is how much money we earn. And so what happens if you earn a lot more money or if you save a lot more money than anybody in your family, that makes you different than them. That makes you not fit in. Yeah. And so at a nervous system wiring level, in the old days, if you got kicked out of the tribe, you would die. And so that's still part of our nervous system makeup.
Okay, interesting. Wow.
Yes. Marty would be happy for us. That's wonderful. I mean, I would be happy for you. Yes.
Yeah.
I would too. Just happy and maybe ask, how can I get there? Okay, good, good. So that's one way to become aware. This is just sort of a small version of becoming aware of sort of what's running underneath the surface, right? And then we can use a tool to start to clear some of these blocks. So what I want you guys to do, if you haven't done so already, I want you to rate those feelings that you had when you looked at your savings account. Maybe if you had some uncomfortable feelings in this exercise, like embarrassment, I want you to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 again, 1 being the least and 10 being the most. Okay? And then I'm going to teach you this really simple tool to start to clear some of this. Okay? And you can also use it to identify, but we're going to use a tool called tapping. So a lot of people have heard of tapping, but a lot of people have not. It's also called EFT, the emotional freedom technique. Has anybody heard of this before? I know you have, Marty.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yes.
I'm not really knowledgeable about that, but yes, I've heard of it. So will this, is this where we're going to be using this tool to switch that scarcity mindset into an abundant mindset, right? This is the tool that we
Yes.
use to get rid of that. Because I'll tell you what,
Yes.
there is so much of this with these young adults. And it's always the, I can't because, I'm not smart enough because. And so that's what I
Right.
really want to focus on, because it all comes down to, that those thoughts that we have. And
Mhm.
uh, this would be really good to start applying. And I'm glad we're talking about it, because I didn't know about this when I was younger. I didn't know about this until, like I said, very recently. And so that's
Mhm.
why I want to make sure that these young adults have this early on, so that they can start applying these tools and not be at a point where, you're in your 40s and you haven't saved because of these limiting beliefs that you've been holding on to throughout life. And, like we said earlier, we may not even be aware of.
Mhm. Right. Yeah. I wish I'd known about these tools when I was younger. I didn't, I mean, and we start where we are. So, yeah, it's great if people can start. The younger you are, the better, right? The longer you
Right,
have to have all this impact out in the world.
right, right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank
So,
you.
yeah. So tapping, I'm gonna give a brief explanation. There's a lot of science behind it, and if you guys want to look it up, if you have that kind of brain that likes to know the science, there's a ton of science out there about it. You can look it up, and I highly recommend that. But basically, um, there are lots of different points, and I'll run through the points with you, and then I'll explain a little bit about it. You just tap with a couple fingers, and we're going to do this together in a minute. We start on the side of the hand. And then the points that I use are we're going to tap, literally, you're going to tap with a couple fingers on the inside of the eyebrow here, and then
Okay,
on
well,
the outer, the bone here, and then the bone right under the
and I would
cheekbone, we call
I,
it.
I would do it with you, but I'm using my hand to hold
Yes.
my phone.
Okay. And you can, just so
Of
you know, you
course.
can use one or both hands. You can use
Okay,
one or both hands. And then
okay,
we go under the nose
okay, and
and
just
the
like
little
that.
flex of the chin, and just lightly. And then I do the clavicle here.
With just one finger,
Just,
Shannon, or what are we doing?
yeah, you can use just a couple fingers. It doesn't really matter. One or
Okay,
two hands, and then the top of the head.
okay,
And if you're familiar with tapping, there are a lot of points, and if you use other points, you're welcome to do that.
okay.
So the points that we tap on are related to the Chinese meridians. So what we do after we've uncovered some of these feelings, like we just did, like anxiety, embarrassment, feeling judged, the feelings of it's not enough, what we're going to do is we start out giving a voice to these quote unquote negative emotions. And it's really important to do that part. That's the part that I mentioned earlier that is so often overlooked. And we acknowledge. And it's very powerful because when we ignore an emotion, it gets buried in our body. And it can create physical illness. It can create a lot of emotional problems. Oh, yeah, therapists do it a lot. Exactly. It's become much more mainstream. And it's such a simple thing that you can do anywhere. The other thing you can do if you are in a public place and don't want to be tapping on the body is you can actually tap on your little pinky finger. Okay, just on the nail.
Yes, okay,
Yes. And so what we do first is we rate the feelings like you guys have already done. And then we're going to start tapping, and you are going to repeat, ideally out loud. If you're in a place where you can do this out loud, you're just going to repeat after me. And we're going to just go through what we call a negative round, and then we're going to go through a more positive round. And we're going to just kind of do both at the same time so you can see, okay? So we're going to start tapping this point here. You can just use a couple fingers and take a deep breath in. Even though I don't have as much savings as I'd like, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel very anxious when I look at the amount of money in my savings, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm way behind where I think I should be, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Okay, and then we're going to start talking through the points. I don't have nearly enough money in my savings. And you can just repeat, or you can use your own words. I look at my savings account and there's not enough. It makes me feel very anxious. If there's an emergency, I don't have enough money. And I don't see how I could save any more. There's no way I could save more money. And that makes me feel really scared. When I think about having a lot of money in my savings account, it feels good, but I feel like people would judge me if they knew. I feel like people would ask me for money. They would expect things from me. They'd expect me to pay for everything. It's too much responsibility. I don't even want that much money. I don't need that much money. I wouldn't even know what to do with that much money. It feels like too much responsibility. I know that people would treat me differently. And that doesn't feel good. When I held up my sign, I felt embarrassed. I felt judged. And I would hope that people would be happy for me. Something just didn't feel good. It's easier to stay where I am. Because at least I know what life is like here. What if I could just be open? What if I could be curious? What if I could just imagine having a lot of money in my savings account? Think about all the things that I could do with that money. Travel. I could do work that I really love. I could help my family. I could feel safe. I could donate money to organizations that I believe in. I could do a lot of good out in the world. And so just for a moment, I'm open to considering another reality. I'm open to considering that I'm an excellent money manager. And that money comes to me easily. It's easy for me to make money and save money. People do it all the time. And I'm open to allowing my friends and family to be happy for me. And I know that I could show them how to be good money managers. I'm open to finding peace in my money. I'm letting go of the battle. I'm releasing the fear. I'm open to being a wonderful, wealthy person. And so it is. Take a deep breath in. And I want you to look back at all of the thoughts and feelings you wrote down initially, and I want you to re-rate them. So what level is that disappointment at now? What level is that fear at, 1 to 10? How true does the statement feel when you say it's not enough? How true does that feel now? You might even notice if there was any change in those numbers. Did the numbers go down?
Yeah, so for mine, for the disappointment that I shared earlier, I feel like it's at a 4. Yeah, oh,
And you
that's at
started
a
at a
2 out of 4.
6,
Yeah,
right?
I think me and Alyssa are
Mhm.
on the same on the same numbers here. Yes.
Yeah, well, you went down to a 4, you stayed at a 5, or I'm not sure, Lisa, if you started at a 6 or a 5. Um,
Yeah, so it went down a little bit, I feel,
yes.
for me anyway.
And
For me.
so yes, and so typically the numbers go down. Occasionally, sometimes the numbers will go up when people really get in touch with a feeling. And if that happens, you just repeat. And it doesn't really matter what you say. Yes, a 5. And you can even do this tapping when you have, like, if you're telling a story that's really stressing you out, tap while you tell the story. If you have some old money story about something that happened to you, tap while you tell the story. Because just imagine, even if those numbers go down, 1 or 2, that's an exponential amount in terms of your energy starting to become free, starting to become open. And so when you practice this regularly, it starts to actually rewire your nervous system. So what we do is we start to actually lift up and out those feelings of disappointment, of fear, of lack of safety. They actually start to come out of the nervous system, and then we tap in those more expansive feelings. So it's a great thing to just do 5 minutes of tapping every day, for
5
example.
Okay.
Start to rewire your nervous system.
Yeah, great. And I'm gonna make some notes here when I post the replay. I'm sure to put some of these important tips on here for the tapping and then for the previous one that we did as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And the other thing to do is when you start to practice this regularly, start to notice, where does money show up in your life? Because it always does. I had one client that I was working with at the start of the pandemic during lockdown. She had lost her full-time job. She had a whole bunch of debt. And within a couple months of working on this regularly, she paid off $15,000 on her credit card, and she started 2 new businesses, all in the time of us being locked down. And she started actually increasing her income compared to what it had been before the pandemic. People start getting checks out of the blue. So just kind of notice, where does money show up for you?
Yeah, no, that's a great thing. Yeah, and I think that kind of goes back to what we said earlier about law of attraction and manifesting. Like, yes, you can do all of that, but then you have to take action to
Mm-hmm.
make it happen, right? And
Yeah.
I love this because it's true. It's, positive thoughts will produce a positive experience, but it's not just going to come out of nowhere. And I'm sure she had to do quite a bit to pay this off and to start her businesses. Obviously, she sit there, right? And that's something that
Right.
that I really want to stress, because that's very often a concern. Like, oh, again, I can't. I don't know how. But I think using this is such a great tool to allow possibility, right?
Right. So it's a very, very simple tool that you can do anywhere. Like I said, you can even just tap on your fingernail if you're in public. And it's something you can do daily to just start to rewire. And the idea is just to be open and see what comes up and just give it a voice.
Yeah. No, I love
Because
it.
we repress this stuff. And so, like I say, the one difference between this and law of attraction is that when we just don't acknowledge our uncomfortable feelings, they're deep down and they're being glossed over. So you kind of end up with the same result. And this allows you just to give a voice. Women often are not allowed to be angry.
Right.
We're not allowed to scream. And so a lot of times there's anger hidden down there. Women, we know, women in America are paid less money than our male counterparts. So we start to look at all of these things that have been in our bodies, in our minds, that have been just part of our upbringing in this culture.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's Yes, sadly it's that way, but yes, we have these tools and we have ways to overcome all of that, and don't let it be something that holds you back, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't let it be something that holds you back, because one thing I said, I did it during the tapping, but we know that people are making money all the time with, just access to the internet. You can make money. It's not about your level of education. It's not about your job experience. You do, like you mentioned, Marty, you do have to take action. So it's not just thinking positive. And the client that I mentioned that paid off all this debt and started these businesses, a lot of it had to do with just looking at where she currently was initially, at which she had been afraid to do.
Hmm.
And from there, we concentrated on what's the next one tiny step. Don't think about how to get to the end,
Yeah.
but what can I do right now, today, to move myself forward? Is there somebody you can call? Is there, depending on what you do, is there someone you can talk to? If you're like a meditation teacher, can you write a meditation? Can you record something? Can you start a YouTube channel? Whatever it is that would move you forward in your dreams, just do one small thing today. And then tomorrow, do another small thing. And when we take those small steps forward, it all adds up. And when you look at a month or a year, if you're looking at your savings account, all of a sudden, if you look at this daily, it adds up, right? If you look at every step you take, all of a sudden, maybe you have a business.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So then that takes me to the last question that I have for you. Perfect time.
Mhm.
Is what's the best way, in your opinion, for a young adult to start saving? Because again, that's one of the scarcity mindsets, that I can't even start saving, and this is what we want them to do ultimately, right? Like, what did you
Right.
want to do, or what do you wish you would have done more of or sooner? And it's always saving. So how can they start saving right now?
So I think really doing what we just did is going to start to clear the blocks to whatever is holding you back from saving money right now. So I'm not going to necessarily say, don't go to Starbucks, stop eating avocado toast. I'm not going to talk specific money tips, because there are a million people that are out there. Do this tapping, do these visualizations, start to become aware of what does your family believe around money. That in of itself is super powerful, because most of us never stop to think about it, because we have had those thoughts and beliefs told to us since before we can even remember. So what did your family say about money? And tap on those,
Okay.
because they're almost never expansive thoughts. The things that I hear all the time, we're not made of money.
Right.
Money doesn't grow on trees.
Mm-hmm.
We have to work hard for our money. And so what does that mean to you when you have a job? Maybe you don't make a lot of money and you have to work really hard. Maybe you have to work 2 jobs or 3 jobs. And then as you move up and start to make more money, a lot of times people will continue to work 40, 60, 80 hours a week, because they have this deeply rooted belief that I have to work hard.
Right.
And so start becoming aware of those thoughts and beliefs and tap on them every day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you will start to see enormous shifts. And you will start to see money coming in. I promise you, it happens all the time.
All the time. Yeah. No, I believe
Mhm.
I believe you. So I'm gonna commit to starting with the 5 minutes a
Yeah.
day. So
Yes.
you'll have to hold me
And
to it.
you can go on YouTube. You can follow me. I have some videos on
Nice.
tapping. I have a YouTube channel. I'm on Insight Timer. So if you want to follow me or like check out my bio, there are links in my bio, and you can just follow something. If you feel uncertain about how to do it, just follow along and repeat the words. It's
Okay.
that simple.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so whoever's on here and isn't following Shannon, make sure you do. She always has great information on there. She has these programs, so make sure that you go onto her profile and you have everything there, right? You have links to everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have all of that. And there was one specific one that I want to mention before we go. I can't believe we've been on here for an hour, by the way. I'm
Wow.
hooked on this. Uh, So there's a program you mentioned called Setting Outrageous Goals. Can you just give us a little bit of info on that for future?
That's one of the modules in a program that I do. Are you talking about the program that I have that's called Conscious Money?
I believe so. Yeah, conscious
Okay.
money. Yeah.
So yes, and I actually have a special offer. So this is something, now if you feel like what we just did today is enough and you want to stick with this and do your 5 minutes of tapping, that's great. I do have a digital program, an online course called Conscious Money, and that also is linked through the link in my bio. And that is a 7-week course. There are 7 different modules. You get a module each week. You learn about the 5 kinds of money that I mentioned, and then we go in depth. So we did a little bit today around savings. So there's a whole module on savings. We go very in depth into savings. We go very in depth into income. We have you set income goals. We look at debt, and then there's something called toxic money. So there's a module on each of those. Each of those has different tapping rounds. There is a negative round, there is a positive round, and then there's a lightning round that you can do every day to start to really clear those. And that's a really powerful course. You get the modules weekly, but you can really do it at your own pace. Some people do it in 7 weeks. A lot of people take more time. And so I have, if anybody is interested in that course, you can click on it, and I have a code for you for 20% off. So if anybody wants to purchase that course, if you use the code IGLive, you'll get 20% off. Okay.
Nice.
And people are having really, really good results with that. It just goes deeper and into what we've been doing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can imagine, because just this short session that we did, I feel like, I mean, there's a lot there. There's definitely a lot there. It's impressive. It's powerful. So if anyone that is on here live has any question for Shannon, because we're about to close it up here. So thank you, Shannon, so much. And if you have anything else to tell our audience, and I will be posting this on a replay. So if anyone here knows that someone might need this, that they can benefit from this, please share the replay. I'll be posting it shortly after we're done here. So everyone who's here, thank you so much. And if there are questions, take them now. If not, you can DM us later, leave us comments, but make sure you do follow Shannon. All of this stuff is so powerful, and it's going to help you along the way. It's going to help you in your future years. It's going to help you. It's just going to help you now, right? It's going to help you now, and it's going to set you up. I always say your 20s are going to set you up for your future. So thank you so much. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
I hope that this was helpful.
Yeah, very helpful. Very helpful. Thank you. And we'll see more of you, right? We're going to hopefully get on here and do some more.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I'd love to.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Well,
bye, everybody.
Everybody have a good evening. We'll see you. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.